firmly believe that we were all put here on this planet to make a difference for somebody other than ourselves. And I don't mean with the new government program either. To make a difference for somebody other than ourselves. And it reminded me of when my first grandchild was born. 10 years ago, 1999. When my first grandchild was born. I had been attending a National Restaurant Association board meeting in Hawaii, and I was the president of the National Restaurant Association at the time. And so I was there conducting the board meeting. My daughter, Melanie, living here she was living in Atlanta. And my wife and I were living in Nebraska at the time. So the last day of the board meeting, my wife called and said, Melanie's gone into labor. So I'm going to be catching a plane going to Atlanta. First grandchild is going to be born. I said, all right. I said, well, I probably won't get there in time for the blessed event. So by the time I finished the board meeting, fly back through Austin, Texas. I had a meeting in Austin, Texas with a guy who eventually became president of the United States that particular day on the way back for my granddaughter to be born. And so this was on a Wednesday when I had headed back. I had to stay overnight in Austin on Thursday. I kept calling my son saying, Vincent, do we have a baby yet? No, Dad, we don't have a baby yet. So this is about 24 hours later. So I called him again on Thursday night when I got to Austin and said, Vincent, do we have a baby yet? He said, no, Dad, we don't have a baby yet. I said, is there a problem? No. Is anything wrong with Melanie? No. Is everything okay with the baby? Yeah. I said, well, what's the problem? He said, Dad, it's a slow baby. I said, I know that. So I got up Friday morning and I went to my meeting Friday afternoon and jumped on a plane after the meeting was over with, flew back to Atlanta, arrived in Atlanta at about 9:30 p.m., January 22nd, 1999. As soon as I got off the plane, made a call to my son, do we have a baby yet? No, Dad, we don't have a baby yet. Got a rental car, drove over to Piedmont Hospital as fast as I could without getting caught, Mr. Sheriff. So get over there as fast as I could. I arrived at the hospital at I arrived at the airport at 8:30. I got to the hospital at 9:30 p.m., January 22nd, 1999. I went into the delivery, up to the waiting room, where where the men wait while the women are having their babies. My son was there, and I walked in, and I said, Vincent, how you doing? He said, hi, Dad. Do we have a baby yet? No, Dad, no baby yet. So I sat down patiently. I knew that my wife and my son-in-law were in with my daughter in the delivery room. And about 20 minutes after I got there, my wife came out and stood in the door of the waiting area and looked at me and my son and then looked back at me and said, you have a granddaughter. I said, what? You have a granddaughter. You know how you women are when you put your hand on and start moving. I said, well, that's great. I said, is Melanie okay? Yes. Is the baby all right? Yes. And at the time, we didn't know that it was a little girl. You got a granddaughter. I said, that's great. Everybody's okay? Yes. I said, well, what's with me? You have a granddaughter. She said, I have been with this girl for 3.5 days. And you show up and the baby is born. She was waiting on granddad before she came into the world. When I picked up that little 20-minute-old face, she said, you want to come in and see your granddaughter? I said, yes, dear. I went inside. They had cleaned up Selena. My daughter said, Dad, would you like to hold your granddaughter? I was almost in tears. I looked at the face of this little newborn baby, less than an hour old, looked into her face, and the first thought that went through my mind wasn't, how do I give her a better start in life? Like our parents wanted for us, like you wanted for your kids, like we still want to give our kids. That wasn't the first thought that went through my mind. The first thought that went through my mind was, what do I do to help make this a better world? Because we were all put here to make a difference, and that's why we are here. We're all here to help make this a better world. Not so much for us. Our ship has come in and gone back out several times. And by now, our grown children, they got to make it on their own. It's for the grandchildren that we've got to stop the Socialist Express in Washington, D.C.
Secularstupidist.com, conservative.com, rightosophy.com.